the leadership, did you ever bring some of your questions or doubts to them? Did you ever try to talk through some of the things you were, some of the things that were maybe pulling you to leave, causing you to doubt? Did you try to get help with those things? And then, like, how did that go? How did people respond to your doubts and your questions?
So the first time this happened, we had seen the videos of Stephen Hassan and Diane and Ron. That was like a huge blow up in the church. That was like a church-wide thing, and it even reached all the way back to San Diego. And so they had compiled a video, and we actually stopped going because we saw the videos, and we were like, yeah, let's not go back to that church. Like, we're good. And they actually reached out to us, and I met up with a deacon, and he showed me like the Bible again, and like showed me like because the Passover was coming up, and he was like, yeah, let's keep the Passover together. And so I ended up going back. But basically what they had done was they had taken, like, looking back now, I understand that they had taken clips from Diane's video, from Ron's video, from when he was interviewing with Stephen Hassan. And I went back and I watched their experiences. It's not at all what the video that they had compiled for the church to watch. It's not the same. It's not the same. They painted them to be the most wicked people that you could ever think of to walk this earth, because they had spoken out about their experiences. They were saying that they were like Satan had got to them, and that they were going to go to hell, and like just a lot of things that were absolutely not true. And basically saying that Diane had mocked Zhang Gil Jah. I watched the video. She didn't mock her. She was explaining what was going on a phone call where her questions were not being answered. So it was is very misleading the way they compiled that video. And so because of that experience, when I had my doubts later, I knew in my mind, if I go and I try to talk to them about this, they are going to come up with some kind of reason, some kind of answer to get me to stay. And I don't want to stay. So I didn't ask my questions. I didn't go talk to anybody. I didn't try to vent to anyone. I didn't even talk to the sisters that were closest to me. I didn't want to do it because I knew that they were going to try to get me to stay, because that's what they did the first time when we saw what was going on with Diane and Ron. And so I just didn't want to be wrapped up in it again. And because they always have a reason for something. There's always a reason for something, and I just didn't want to hear it. So I didn't even give them the chance. I just blocked everybody, and I just didn't go back.
Yeah, that's a lot of members. Another common theme I see in a lot of members that I talk to that email me and whatnot, who are kind of on the brink of leaving, but it's as if they feel, and I don't know if you felt this, but it's as if they feel this sense of obligation to the church. They're scared of leaving because it's almost as if they feel like they owe it to the members or the leaders to stay in. They got to a point, many of them, where they don't believe any of it's true. They know, it's not true for, many of them, and they see the issues, but, many of them will just tell me things like, I can't bring myself to leave. And so I'm not entirely sure what it is that causes that in members, but, yeah, I'm glad that you with all that, just deciding you didn't have to bring them your questions. You didn't have to give them your doubts. You didn't even have to tell them you're leaving. And I guess that's the thing I hope people would take away from what you're sharing, is that if you're a member wanting to leave, leave. Like these people have no power or authority over you. You don't owe them anything. They are, whether there's, I'm not saying everybody in this church is just evil. I think many of them don't realize what they're doing. But in the end, they are manipulated and deceived, and they are inadvertently trying to manipulate and deceive and control you. And so if you want to leave, do what Sabrina did and leave. Because, again, you don't owe them anything. You don't owe them an explanation. There's nothing they can do to stop you. The only one who you should be considering right now is yourself and your own well-being. And if, like Sabrina's experience, this is, not giving peace and it's not benefiting you, then yeah, I would hope that if, those who are in that place would just follow your example and just get out of there. You don't even need to talk to them. Just leave. So yeah, I think that's I'm glad that you didn't even feel the need to take your questions and your doubts, because like you said, they're just manipulative, and they will find a way to, even if they don't have an answer, even if there's not an answer, they're going to say whatever they need to say to convince you back into a place of fear, or something to manipulate you into staying in the church. And so good for you that you didn't get trapped in that.
Yeah, no, by that time I was done. And, I actually, I had just left it. I was just going to see if anybody would reach out to me. I didn't block anybody for the first month and a half that I had first left, and they knew where I lived at the time. I hadn't moved yet. And after the Passover, I didn't hear from anybody. Nobody tried to call me. Nobody tried to contact me. And I was like, you know what? I don't think you guys care about me.
Yeah.
I feel like you care about your own salvation. And the only reason you tried to reach out to me was so that you could be good and that your duty was done. And I kept the Passover, so now your duty is finished and you don't need to talk to me anymore, type of thing. And I just felt like they honestly just didn't care. And so after a while, I just blocked them all, and I even changed my number, and I was just finished. So I hope that nobody feels the need, if they would like to leave, that they need to go and talk to their pastor or their unit leader or a deaconess or a deacon about their doubts. Because if that's not a place where you want to be, then what is the point of going to them to ask your questions? In my personal mind, that didn't make sense to me. If I already don't want to be here, there's nothing they could say to me that's going to make me want to stay. So I was just ready to go.